Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. I've just been checking back and I think it's around about 14 years now I've been doing Celtic videos. It's a long time, a long time. Anyway, yesterday Brendan Rodgers spoke about several things, but I want to talk about today about the goal scoring situation, and the stats look rather interesting when you dive into the stats that Brendan Rodgers will look at when it comes to goal scoring and passes. But yesterday at the press conference, obviously Brendan Rodgers spoke about injuries and spoke about Callum McGregor's injury and saying that the scan was inconclusive. He also gave some insight into Lewis Palmer. He's had a bit of a knock and Lewis Palmer will not feature this weekend. And then there's obviously the ongoing situation with Rio Hatate. He spoke about the charges from the SFA. He spoke about them and he said that it was the Celtic and the legal team, the lawyers, are getting involved. The lawyers are going to back Brendan and they're going to see which way they're. And he was asked if he's going to appear in front of the SFA or if he's just going to let the lawyers do it. And he said, we'll sit down with the lawyers. We'll talk about that. And then went on to talk about Leila Bada and he said that it was desperately sad. Said that it was desperately sad, and the fact that he was looking forward to working with Lille and progressing him as a player because he's at that age bracket between 22 and 29. Brendan says. He says that's when a player comes into their own, and that's when they progress even more as a player between those ages. And Leila Bada was just coming into that, so he felt sorry that he left Celtic. But he said we move on. It's as simple as that. We move on. We've got a good bit of money from him, and we move on. He was then talking about obviously the conversations that he had with Leila Bada, had the fact that he had him round to his house. And then he briefly spoke about Alexandro Bernabe and the fact that he's left just to play football. Because he was honest with him and he said, look, Gaffer, I just want to play football. When I'm sitting on the bench here after a couple of years, it's not doing it for me. It's just not doing it for me. There has been indications yesterday that people are starting to say that Celtic are going to spend big this summer. We've heard it all before. In the bigger picture, we spent big last summer, but we bought pure pish, as they say. We bought pure pish. Anyway, when we look at the fact that we've lost Leila Bada, right? And when we look at his stats, I mean, Leila Bada for the goals and that this season, he has scored one goal. His pass accuracy for the games that he has played was 79%. Certainly not one of the highest and certainly not one of the lowest, but he hasn't had a lot of game time this season. When you look at the goal scorers, and I'm going to give you the top 10 goal scorers this season so far as it stands today. Coming in at, we'll start at number one. We'll just start right at the top. Why not? Starting right at the top is on 11 goals, the same number of goals as Kyogo Furiashi, but he has more assists. That's the assist page. Let's take the top goal scorers as Matt O'Reilly. He has scored the same number of goals as Kyogo Furiashi this season. But his shot accuracy, Matt O'Reilly is only 57%. Shot accuracy is only 57%. He's had 58 shots on goal and he's only managed to convert 19 of them. Kyogo Furiashi has had 56 shots on goal this season and he's only managed to score 20% of them, a shot accuracy of only 55%. So you could say that Kyogo's not had his shooting boots on this season, and I think we could all say that. I mean, he's missed some absolute sitters this season, and he's not been in the goal-scoring form it has been in before. Then, up next at number 3, on 8 goals this season, is Lewis Palmer. Lewis Palmer, that some people get a lot of stick off, but we'll talk about his assists and everything in a minute. He's got a shot accuracy of 60%. And then this is where people are going to say, why did we let this player go? Well, he was coming up to the end of his contract and it was a good piece of business to get the 2 odd million. What was it, 2 million that we got for David Turnbull? But David Turnbull has scored 7 goals this season. And no assists, and he's managed to play 19 games before he left. But his shot accuracy was 73%. 73%. That's nearly 20% more accurate than Kyogo has been this season. And we sold the player. I mean, we all know that he's a player that wasn't going to sign a new contract. He wasn't offered a new contract. And people would say, right, his time was up. So it was good to get the money in the door for him. But when we had a player that was on, you could say when it comes to game time, his shot accuracy was better than some of the players that we've got in the team just now. Then who comes in? Adam Ira, who came in during the last transfer window. He's had 5 goals. And his shot accuracy is 71%. 71%. That's just behind David Turnbull. And behind him, on 5 goals also this season is Big O, but his shot accuracy is only 55% also, which is an interesting one. Then comes in Dyson Myra. Dyson has had 4 goals this season, and he's played 27 games, and he's had 37 shots on goal, but he's only converted 11% of those shots with a 57% shot accuracy. Then just behind him, believe it or not, is Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor has scored 3 goals this season, and he's had a shot accuracy of 42%. You're not expecting a high shot accuracy from Greg Taylor now, are you? Definitely not. And then comes in Callum McGregor. Behind him, he scored 2 goals this season, and he's had a shot accuracy of 56%. And then comes in Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate scored 2 goals. He's had a shot accuracy of 69%. So that's your top 10. When it comes to assists this season, Matt O'Reilly's stats, and you can understand why teams have been sniffing around Matt O'Reilly and why Atletico Madrid wanted Matt O'Reilly, because not is he only topping the charts for goal scoring, he's also topping the charts for passes and pass accuracies and passes complete. He's not topping the charts for passes complete. That goes down to the one and only Liam Scales, believe it or not, for passes complete. But when you look at the stats, for assists versus goals, Matt O'Reilly's up there with 12 assists this season. He's created 67 chances. He's played 35 games. He's had a total of 1,799 passes. His pass rate has been 331. He's got a pass accuracy of 83%. But the fact he's had 12 assists this season means he's a real asset in that midfield. He's a real asset for people scoring goals, which is something that we've lacked of. So why haven't we been scoring more goals? That's the one thing you need to think about. Lewis Palmer comes in with 9 assists this season. Lewis Palmer comes in with 9 assists, and his pass accuracy is 77%. Then it's Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor comes in with 5 assists this season, and his pass accuracy is 91%. There's only one player at Celtic this season who has a higher pass accuracy than our captain, which is interesting. And it's definitely shown, especially when we were away to Hearts at the weekend, and we were absolutely terrible in that midfield. We just couldn't get a hold of the game, and people were saying, we need to drop Callum McGregor. Well, now that we've no choice, but we've had to drop him because he's out injured until after the international break, which is a couple of weeks ago. We do have a couple of games before then. And let's just see how we get on without Callum. There's a lot of teams have been man-marking Callum McGregor this season. A lot of teams have been trying to man-mark him, trying to nullify that midfield. Tomoki Iwata, well, where does he go? Where is he in the pass accuracy? He doesn't even make it so far. But next is Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor, he has an 83% pass accuracy. And you notice when he's been out of the team also. And then comes up is Kyogo Furiashi. He's had 3 assists. You're not wanting Kyogo to have a massive number of assists, to be fair. But his pass accuracy is 67%, which is down. Now, everybody goes on about Dyson Maeda. Everyone goes on about Dyson Maeda, and I even go on about him sometimes, because sometimes he gets down that wing. He gets down that wing, and you think, just get in a good ball, Dyson. Just get in a good ball. His pass accuracy is actually 80%. Which means you can understand why he gets played on the wing before some of the other players. Because when you look at the stats, and that's what Brendan and the backroom staff will do, they'll look at the stats of the players and they'll take this into consideration. Now, is it a thing that should be used in more? Obviously, it's a thing that does get used in modern football. But shouldn't managers just go back to basics sometimes rather than look at the stats? And does Brendan Rodgers rely too heavily on stats when it comes to game? I mean, it is such a modern thing. But could you imagine Jock Stein? I don't think Jock Stein or that would ever looked at stats. He would have just looked at the pitch and went, all right, lad, you're fucking playing the day. It's as simple as that. You see who's doing it on the pitch, who's got the hunger. I mean, Brendan Rodgers will do that. But do the modern day football coaches rely too heavily on stats? Or do they go with gut instinct and what they say on the training pitch? Tell me your thoughts. And then comes Yang. Yang comes in with 3 assists this season, and he also has had a pass accuracy of 80%. So see what you like about the Japanese boys. He's not even he's South Korea, are they? But they're coming in right high. Rio Tate has 2 assists this season, even though he's missed half the season, and he has missed more than half the season. He's got a pass rate of 78%. And then Paulo Bernardo. Paulo Bernardo's got 2 assists. He's got 80 incomplete passes. He's got over 277 passes that he completed, and he's got a pass rate of 78%. And then Paulo Bernardo is just behind him, but he has a higher pass rate. So Paulo Bernardo is just behind Rio Hatate, but he has a higher pass rate of 83% as Paulo Bernardo. Anyway, tell me what you think about that in the comments. Do a video later today, around about tea time, and see what we think the team will be at the weekend, because let's face it, the team could be absolutely anyone. There's going to be a lot of changes, and I think with it being the Scottish Cup, Brendan Rodgers will put out his strongest team against Livingston, because let's face it, it's a one-off game. We know once we play this game that we get to Hampden. Oh, Hampden in the sun. Celtic 7 and the Rangers 1. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, all around the world.